homeschooling perspective fresh. Because as you come up to the mid-year, we often sort of, we're starting to get tired and we're starting to feel down or question things. So I just thought it's a good time to get a new perspective. And what I was thinking is that so often we get bogged down in thinking we should be doing more, we're not doing enough. But actually, just to remind ourselves that we can't teach our children everything. Mm-hmm. We've got to teach them how to learn whatever it is they need later on in life. Mm. And they don't need to learn everything. Like I was actually driving around earlier and thinking, my daughter Lucy never studied anything to do with Shakespeare like I had to at school. And she's okay. She's got this gap in her education. Some people would frown and think horror of horrors. It's like our English literacy and, culture. And she's never done it. But actually, it's okay. And if she ever wants to study Shakespeare, she can. And she's doing well in what she is interested in. Mm-hmm. So there will be gaps in your children's education. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is. and there's going to also be gaps in you as a mom, but I think that's the joy of homeschooling, is that you're learning stuff alongside your children. I mean, I think about the things that I learned, even though English was my background. I didn't learn to love Jane Austen and love Shakespeare through my university studies, when we spent most of the time ripping their texts apart, that I think made them turn in the grave. I learned to love it when I started to introduce Charlotte Mason principles in the home, and we would sit and we would do our poetry and tea, and then or read, Charles Lamb's beautiful stories from Shakespeare, and we had it on audio CD in our old combi, and that's when I learned to love it, was when we were alongside our children learning something new. And I think that's how we keep our vision and our perspective fresh in homeschooling, is that we learn with our children. It's not something that they're sitting in front of a computer with an online tutor and we're still just carrying on with our life. We're right there with them. Yeah. Were there any other things that you found you needed to do sort of on an annual basis to keep your vision going?
I think it was always useful at the end of the year to look back and look at what we had done. Which curriculums had we completed, or were we halfway through a maths book or whatever, and just we listed it and I saw it sort of in writing in front of me. Then I could sort of pat myself on the back, because there are many days where you just feel like, what have we accomplished? Because it wasn't books. And like I always say, the books are not the only measure of what you've done. Yeah. But at the end of a season, you often can look back and see, well, we did actually do some hardcore academic stuff, as well as the outings and all the life lessons and interruptions that taught us something else about life in between, So, I think it's just to keep that perspective on, it's not always the books, but if you make a list of what you've done, you'll see it's not as bad as you think.
Correct. I mean, I liked to try and read a book on homeschooling or parenting or mothering or even wifing sometime in my year, sometimes more than one. And that to me always gave me fresh fodder and ideas to put into the homeschool mix that we had. And, support groups are great to try and bounce ideas off other moms and hear where they're at and that sort of thing. But sometimes, this can also be a little difficult area for maybe a mom who's struggling with self-esteem and concern.
Yeah, and everybody else is bragging about they doing so much more, telling you all the good stuff and not sharing their struggles.
Shame. And then the other thing is now, we've got this amazing sort of resource being YouTube. They say that it's the next Google. It's the biggest search engine for homeschool moms, that there's so many things that you can go and learn about if you want to start incorporating lap books, for instance, or even how do I do a poetry and tea afternoon or whatever. You've got YouTube there and things like what we're doing today, encouraging homeschool moms. It's right there if you want to have like a little bit of a fresh wind. And talking about that, we've got a live stream coming up on the
27th.
27th of May.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
you better put it
yeah.
up, put the right date up.
And we're going to be talking about Charlotte Mason in a nutshell, and just giving parents little tidbits that they can start to investigate and see if they want to bring those into their home to give them sort of a new, what would we want to call it? New
Fresh
wind in their.
perspective, just
Yeah,
new
yeah,
ideas. Yeah.
yeah. So, sorry.
I think just, yeah, I was just thinking a thought there too, that she's got some great ideas. And the final thought I was thinking is just to always remember that this is not only about academics, it's about your relationship with your child.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that is a strong thing in Charlotte Mason's ideas, is, you know, that we're there to parent and learn alongside our children and connect them with great ideas.
Lovely. Yeah.
So,
Fantastic. Good